Hello again, this is Bill St. George. Welcome to another Impression Show. We're on the 5th floor of the M. Steinert & Sons building, famous for Steinway pianos and other makes and models, at 162 Boylston Street. I have the studio downstairs, the gallery, whatever, and this is the floor above it. And they've been kind enough to let Bob and I use this as a point to do this nice painting of this do this somewhat unusual painting of the State House, looking up towards Beacon Hill. Just beautiful from up here. I remember one day was late spring, and the colors on the trees were like this vivid, bright, almost like an apple green. And all of a sudden, the sky just turned this black purple, it was just boom, this storm was coming in. And the sun was still on just the tops of the trees, but you see everything else in darkness and purple. Lucky I had a camera and I shot a few of them. Ended up doing maybe 2 or 3 paintings, and they were very successful. I sold them, but it was just a phenomenon. Just an amazing thing. Maybe later on, Bob, we can take some shots looking up the other way towards the public garden. I don't know, just get people familiarized with the place, maybe before we end. But anyway, I'm going to get back to this painting, whatever, and let's see what happens. The sun is shifting in the sky, and it's amazing. This went from here an hour ago to it's over here somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I think I might leave it in there. I might leave that shadow area in, and I might take it out. I don't know. I don't make any decisions at this point. The whole thing I'm worried about is not worried, but wondering about is whether I'm going to get this thing covered by the time we get through the show. I think we will. Now here I am. This is an example of painting from the outside in. In other words, instead of painting everything outlined, I paint this way and then use the background, use another color to bring out the shape. And I'm just using a cerulean blue for the sky. Let's see, I'll use a little pink and white here for some clouds. Yeah. See, some of this background junk here I was telling you about the other show, if you'd watched it, is the underpainting starts coming through, and it can have its a charm of its own, but sometimes it looks contrived. So the jury's out on that one. We'll see what happens. But I definitely want this to look like the sky, somewhat. And we'll worry about the background later. Let's throw some. There we go. All right, now get some. I'm just going to put it on full blast now. We'll see if we can talk and paint at the same time, without taking away too much from the subject at hand. Again, this thing's becoming too fussy, so I'm going to get rid of it. I don't want it at all. And what's happened also, the sun just went in, and so you got all these things going on. The sun just went in and changed everything. So I'm gonna get rid of it now. Just put regular grass in there, and it comes to a point right about here, and then there's another walkway the other way. Again, just as fast as you can go. And there are areas, like say I had mentioned in the other show, in the previous one. Like say if this gets a little too fussy or I want to have something come through, the light. I want to always go back to the light in the canvas, the light that comes from within. So what you do is you just wipe it back, wipe areas out. Okay, this gives you kind of a nice effect, actually. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get this group of buildings in here. Let's see, there's that big building right here, and there's the church is right about there, the Park Street Church, and I might do that, might not, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Good day to paint. Good day to unleash some energy. And throw some of this orange in there. A little bit of pink. And there's a darker version of that over here to show the building. All right, now, I want to keep in mind that the center of attraction here is this State House. So I want to frame this as much as I can. And keep that in focus. There we go. So it's all the comparison of when you're painting, comparison of eating dinner, you know, instead of doing all the little minutia, the fun things, you do all the stuff that's tough, you know, that eventually you're gonna have some fun with it, and you're gonna bring out this little detail here and there, whatever. It's like let's say eating dessert before the main course. You know, hold off on that stuff. Let's see. I got this. Again, not to worry too much about detail. I think this cadmium yellow deep is going to give me that gold that I'm looking for in here. There it is. And I'm just going to paint it in as one shape. And I'll go back in, one tone. Then I'll go back in with some shadow areas. But right now I just want to, okay, there. All right, now, let's see. I don't want that building to end right there. So that's a pretty high building too. I don't want to make it quite as tall as that. So I'm going to bring some of this white over here. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do away with the liquid now. I'm going to just go straight paint. Paint wet and wet. Why? Oh, wet and wet. Well, it gives it a more fluid look. It has a dried out look. When you use liquid constantly, it dries it out. It gives it almost a good question. Gives it almost a watercolor look, and I want more of an oil painting. You know, I don't want it to look too flat. It gives it some texture as well. Okay. Let's see if I can. That's probably enough for now, and then I can edit that later on. We'll get this, pull that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little too much. Again, I gotta keep this State House in mind. But I can't keep going back to it and saying, oh, geez, it doesn't look like one yet. And, you know, I got to know that eventually it will, and I'll be able to separate all the different elements. And right here, now I'm going to, there's the roof here. And then the rest of it, yeah, okay. All right, now, let's see. I want to get over on this side. I think I might pull that steeple, I don't know. Maybe if I condense it a little bit, I'll make the Park Street Church here. Yeah, why not? Creative license, as they say. Use a little white with some Naples yellow, warm up that area. And then put in this red here. So it's enough for now. All right, now bring out some of the shapes of the trees. Shapes and colors and whatever. Again, you notice I wipe my brush all the time, wiping it out, cleaning it, constantly cleaning the brush, constantly going back into this. I end up with more paint on this thing than I do on there because I'm going for the clean color. So the quickest way to run into mud is, oh, here comes the sun again. Oh. Did you watch that rock and roll thing on HBO? What was it? Oh, that tribute to rock and roll. They did a whole thing on it. One segment was 4 hours long. Did you see it? No, I saw the highlight of it. Or what I saw was what I thought was really great was Springsteen. Good grief, that guy sweats so much. He was like that basketball player in Bedazzled. You know, he just poured sweat. Yeah, I'm sweating. Listen to this. I mean, his back of his pants were all wet, and he's standing there talking to the audience, right? And you could look at his fingertips, and it was as if there was spigots coming out, you know? It was pouring out of this guy. He must lose about 20 pounds every time he does a concert, you know? He's amazing.
He doesn't leave anything in.
No, he doesn't. He gives it his all, doesn't he, man? He's just great. 60 years old now.
Is he really?
Yep, just turned 60 this year. Yeah. Okay, now we got this big mass area here. What I'm going to do is I've started it here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a walk going back that way. And this maze of walkways that they have. Hopefully you get the sound of the streets coming up. Add a little something to the show for Bob's idea. There.
Ambulance.
No ambulance. Well, here we go.
Fire truck, something.
Fake it.
Only one.
I'm sure. I guess the tour guides are, the buses are all, whatever. They were all kind of slowed down. They had a great year, though. Okay. Now, I don't care whether this looks like a railroad track right now, but what I do want is that it sets something up for what I want. I need some guideline here. Keep everything simple. And that we can do, right? Yeah, this walkway, I believe, is a little too fussy. Let's see, the tops of the tree. Okay, I'm going to bring this down to here and have this go. Yeah, let's bring this tree over here. I like it here better. That way it doesn't fight the rest of the painting. Now here I've painted in a so-called tree. It looks kind of bogus right now, but what I'm going to do is, again, what I had suggested on the previous show was that we go from the outside in. So rather than repaint this, go back in, and if you have to so-called correct it, then do it with the with another color. All right. Now I've got a whole bunch of these trees. I'm just going to throw them in now. It's funny that these paintings actually, when you do them really quick, tend to be fairly successful in the end. All right. Let's see. Bing, 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 bing. Check out Wolf Kahn. Wolf Kahn's got some great landscapes. He's a master of landscape painting. Okay. I'm going to bring this one down to here too, right here. I'm going to make do with a little adjustment here and there. And a nice ballpark there too, Bob. You know that right over there, there's some great night games, and the kids use it for softball. They have softball tournaments. Yeah, anyway.
That's got a lot of history down there. That's got a lot of history down there.
Oh yeah, oh the cemetery, right, exactly. Gilbert Stuart, I don't know, a lot of them, a lot of the Revolutionary War heroes are buried there. Okay, so again, start pulling out the shapes. Yeah, and there's that, remember we painted over there? Yeah, that was another, wasn't that a pretty cold day too? Yes, and I remember those stand out more than anything, of the real cold days we get outside. They're fun, but boy. Huh?
Block Island was
Oh, that was great. That was nice and warm. We'll have it again someday. Maybe not for a while, but the good weather will be back. Okay. Now, there's some variation on the branches as far as tonal quality. It isn't all one tone. Sometimes it's, you have the light side of the tree, obviously, and the dark side of the tree. So we'll go to the dark side. Okay. Want to keep this looking as if it runs off the bottom of the page, which it does. So hopefully that'll get the eye in there. Okay, viewing audience, you think this is easy, huh? I think it's easy to mess up a canvas like this, huh? Well, it is. Let's see. There's another path going up this way, but hey, there's enough path. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Branches are pretty irregular things. They go from thick to thin. And again, I'm going to have to do some editing here, just to get some light going through so that they don't all look uniform. Get kind of a purplish tone in here. Right there. As if you squinted at a subject, rather than look at it. By squinting, you get rid of a lot of the extraneous, and you see only the light and dark, and gives you a better view, an overall view of what the entire composition. Now let's see. I wonder if this will work if I hit that with a super black. Yeah, and then leave it there. It goes up here. All right, I'm gonna go in, break this up a little bit more in between those trees. Figured I'd take on something more than I could handle today. All right, now, keep this here. Again, frame the State House. Maybe throw on a little bit more detail just to see what's happening. If I can break through. I don't like working small anyway. This is just, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. How's that for philosophical mumbo jumbo?
That's a new one.
Thank you. Finally came up with something new. All right, bingo. Now we get some of the roofs on here, you know. Like you're scanning the image in the canvas and you're going back and little by little, you know, it's almost like weaving, I guess, if you're a weaver. You just do a little at a time, you know, and eventually it starts coming together, hopefully. What else can I say? Nothing. All right. Don't say anything. Don't say anything, just paint and, yeah.
Showing that down if you want to just
Oh,
mention
sure,
about the-
sure.
I can
Yeah,
see
Bob.
that. I can see the white cemetery right in front of
Oh, yeah.
you. What is that?
What, the two columns?
Not specifically, but I mean, you just tell what is that?
I think those are markers for graves, and that's Gilbert Stewart's, I believe, is the first two there. Famous stars right behind that big tree that I'm doing in the foreground, you know. And I don't know who else. You know, all the years I've been here, I've never gone through that cemetery. I'm not into cemeteries, I guess. Yeah, I want to stay away, you know, as long as I can. As long as you're able, by all means, stay away. But anyway, it's, right below us in the alleyway around the side is, there was a house there. I think we may have mentioned Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, we probably mentioned. Well, he lived here, lived in Boston, did a lot of his writing here. And if you go downstairs, you know where Boloco is? You know, we grab lunch once in a while. There's a plaque on the wall, and it states this is the spot where Edgar Allan Poe. We go by there, huh? Yeah, children's book. Right, The Raven. Oh, wonderful. Nevermore, you all. He was a scary dude. Somebody goes and visits his grave every year. Did you know that? And they dump a bottle of scotch or something on it. I don't know.
Where is it?
I don't know.
England?
I think it might be England, yeah. Yeah. I don't know that much about him, only I know his poetry. He was a different sort of fellow. He was brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to get into the areas in between the trees. And in here. Maybe we can pull this thing off with just color. Yeah, it's getting a little cool in here. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little more interesting in here. I'm getting hung up on it. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to highlight the Park Street Church a little bit. And we'll get back into the, well, before I do that, we'll get this road in here. And any place where I can add more color, I'm going to do that. Keep it all in simple patterns. Yeah, just keep pushing the paint around. Now, I want to create the light that's on the top of these trees. But the happy little tree. Oof, that's what it's starting to look like. So, make that a little different color. Bring out this a little bit more. This tree. Okay, now yeah, how are we doing on time? Pretty good? Another 10 minutes? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? Ooh. Yeah? Wow. That was quick. Anyway, I mean, if you get to this point on a painting, I mean, this, for your first time outside, this is probably as much as you want to do. Cover the canvas. Get as much in there as you can. And then go back a second time, and possibly a third, depending on how the complexity you want, how complicated you want to make the painting, you know. And whoops, left something out here, I guess. I'm going to put that in there anyway. The heck with it. Stands out like a sore thumb now, but anyway, I just wanted to break up that shape a little bit. Maybe. That's the beauty of wet and wet. You know, and then after you're done, you hit it with little touches here and there, and it becomes fun. Right now, it's a lot of work, so. But I've had some fun. Hopefully, you got something out of it. And we'll do this again. All right, now I gotta, let's see if I can pull some of these shapes out. Yeah, this tree is pretty horrible. Yeah, I guess we can wind this one up just when I'm having some fun. You know, it does this to me all the time. Anyway, this is Bill St. George. Thank you again for joining me. My cameraman, Bob. And always remember to keep painting.